with the ISDs and the future of education in Texas. So how many of you know about Huawei? Oh, by the way, I can see you guys via via the Huawei telepresence. So Huawei, to me, now I'm located in Silicon Valley. I've been here since 2001. I often study the history of innovation and technology in Silicon Valley, and it often amazes me how much innovations were done here. Huawei, on the other hand, was born in a city in China called Shenzhen. Now, we don't know whether Shenzhen will be as amazing as Silicon Valley because there are a few other places that are very very active in technology innovation in China as well. But what's special about Shenzhen is it's the first special economic zone in China, established in 1979. And Huawei was born there in 1988. Actually, when I visited Shenzhen in early 1990s, it was still somewhat like a fishing village. Hopefully some of you will be able to visit our headquarters in Shenzhen in the coming quarters, and you will find the Shenzhen today looks completely different. In fact, it's amazing. So one of the things I was thinking about today is I see how Huawei in our own way has been able to transform the education and the life for the kids in our own hometown, Shenzhen. So we are experienced in that department, and hopefully we can bring some of that in addition to our technology to Texas as well. Today, Huawei is a global company with 150,000 employees. Yesterday, I had a lunch with Scott McNealy. Yes, it is the Scott McNealy you're thinking of, the 22 years. He's been a CEO for Sun Microsystems for 22 years. And I asked him how many employees he had in his peak time. He said 46,000. He asked me how many employees Huawei has, and I said 150,000. He thought that was interesting. Products deployed in over 140 countries, serving more than 1/3 of the world's population. I often wonder whether anybody in Huawei has put it in their bucket list to visit all these 140 countries. I don't think I'll ever make it in my lifetime. So what's interesting about Texas is if Shenzhen is the home of Huawei in China, Texas is really the home of Huawei in U.S. Huawei started its journey in U.S. In Texas. I think you recognize the gentleman in the middle there. Maybe. And this, I believe, was the opening ceremony of our office in Plano. And we have always been very much involved in the community in Texas, so it is not surprising when we think about education, and when we start to penetrate education market, we start with where our home is. Now today we expanded a little bit more. We have design centers not only in Plano but also in Silicon Valley. I'm showing on the slide some of the IND number. This is a global number, but I'm sure some of you found it staggering. I joined Huawei last year, and I'm still amazed how much R&D spending and how many R&D engineers we have. So innovation's rewarding. It shows in this chart, our revenue has grown to almost 40 billion. Actually, I just came back from a trip to Shenzhen for our half-annual convention. Our first half went very well as well. So 2013 will be another amazing year. But for those of us joining us for today's webinar and telepresence session, what's most relevant is the breadth of our portfolio. Personally, I think this is where Huawei truly stands out, because a lot of companies have over $40 billion revenue, but perhaps there are very few or maybe none other companies who has the line of product and coverage Huawei has. In summary, Huawei is very strong in mobile products, enterprise products, cloud, and carrier products. Actually, carrier business is where Huawei started its journey. So timing is working out very well for Huawei because as we dive deeper into today's presentation, we will talk more about the inflection point we see in the IT industry, which is the transformation from IT to ICT. That stands for Information and Communications Technology. In summary, what that means is the traditional IT is no longer sufficient. Information used to be transmitted and stored, computed in a much more localized manner over fixed line. But today, information needs to be consumed in a much more three-dimensional way. And Joe and Tim will dive into the cloud as one of the aspects for that. And mobility is another aspect, how information technology has been transformed. So the traditional IT company, as a result, are struggling to understand how do they help you with the communication technology piece. And here, Huawei not only has the products, full line of product in the communication technology arena, the best news is it's developed, both product line are developed by one central R&D lab. And they're very unified. They work together, and most of them are also homegrown in the past 20 years. So this is another chart showing the elements Huawei has in the ICT portfolio. Perhaps you've already known about our product or some of our product. Again, to me, the most exciting part is not only we have it, but we have all these things working together already. Well, let's come back to schools. And not only the overall IT industry is evolving into ICT, the schools are, and in some way, much more aggressively toward ICT direction. You probably dealing with a lot of the ICT issues without calling them ICT. Perhaps a couple of years ago, every day your main concern were servers, storage, networks. Today, you still have to worry about these, but you also have to worry about video surveillance, your Wi-Fi coverage, and how kids can access internet after they go home, and how we can enable kids to learn better by providing them tablet, and therefore how that impact your existing infrastructure and your data center and so on and so forth. I'm sure you guys are much more expert in that area, and you can tell us much more issues you're dealing with today that you didn't have to in the past. So that's a brief introduction of Huawei and why and how we think we can contribute to the Texas ISD technology future. So what we also want to announce today is initiative we have put together with the help of many partners such as HVE that's specifically for Texas ISD. By the way, I have a daughter, 12-year-old, going to 8th grade. So this initiative is very exciting to me personally because it's close to my heart, as well as it is to you guys. I'm sure you have kids and you're professional educators. So when I was growing up, my role model was Einstein. And I remember we spent hours solving math problems on a desk, thinking someday we'll maybe perhaps become Einstein. That never happened. Today's kids are dealing with, they have very different role models. They learn stuff much faster and much broader with the new technology devices. So, of course, what that means to everybody on the seminar is how do you facilitate that? And the tougher issue I understand with my past few months work with some of you is the budget issue. Not only there's much broader needs for technology, meanwhile your budget either is flat or in many cases shrinking. So how do we provide kids with a better education under today's environment with a tsunami of mobile clients, as we call it here, with much more constrained budgets? That's one of the issue we would like to work with you guys to address. Now, some of you might have heard we've been working with a couple of school districts in the past couple of quarters, and in the future seminars, perhaps in our September event, you will hear folks like Jerry Allen from Crawley talk about how we make that happen. How do we do more and empower the kids more with more constrained budgets? So some of you might have heard about Mary Meeker. She's a VC, but what she's mostly well known for is her annual internet report. And I want to share some of that especially some of her thoughts that's related to the education arena. Her overall theme for the recent report, which was where we got the inspiration for the theme for this Texas initiative and the seminar, is reimagine addressable markets. Of course, many of us know the books no longer just paper books. My daughter reads a lot more books on her Kindle than on physical books these days. The best thing about that is, since we have the same account, she gave me the same reading list for summer as well. The other thing that's interesting is not only devices like Kindle are a lot more accessible and easier to bring, but the transformation of putting print material on mobile devices, making it much more dynamic, as you can see here. And there's a lot we can do with future education because of that too. One of the biggest issue, I'm sure, as an educator you deal with, you have a lot more kids than I have on day-to-day basis, is how to get them to focus. And they focus a lot better if it's dynamic, interactive, and flexible. So same way with a lot of the news, people get a lot more news. It used to be people get more news online, and today it changed again. A lot of people get more news on Twitter. So kids are always on the leading edge of that. And of course, for us as parents and educators, we want to send the kids the right message, and perhaps the right message will be received better if it's via better channel such as Twitter. And this one, I'm sure I've yet to have a lot to learn from you guys, is how quickly will the transformation from classroom lecture to online education material come to Texas and transform your classrooms. Actually, I talked about my lunch with Scott. He founded a nonprofit education organization called the Curry Key. Everybody knows about Khan Academy. Curry Key is even more targeted at putting all the curriculum online. In a way, it globalized the education. And part of the passion for us to help Texas and ISDs in Texas is thinking about global education. We as a global company, that becomes a natural fit for us. If kids in other parts of the world can access better global education materials, we ought to be able to do that for our kids here, so they are not behind. Of course, I already spoke a little bit about my observation, how the way kids are learning things largely different today compared to when we were in school, and that's pretty exciting as well, especially if we find a way to enable that better. So in summary, Mary, in her report, talked about these addressable markets and how big they will be after being reimagined. So I already spoke a little bit about this. While we are forming the initiative, we've talked to a lot of partners and folks like you guys in the room and online about how your roles have changed in the recent years. And everybody agreed the transformation to much more mobile devices and cloud, which Joe will talk more about, have really changed your priorities and the roles. And further to that, the data center is no longer your data center room on campus. It's the definition of that is much more broader, and it's not just the public cloud we are talking about as well. There's also private cloud, but not on premise. So how do you manage all that transformation, and what is the best combination that's most effectively utilizing your budget and maximize the benefit for the kids is part of the focus for this initiative, because we found the Texas independent schools can learn a lot from each other by doing this together rather than doing it on your own. So this chart itself could use 40 minutes, and Frank told me I only have 40 minutes. But this is something I'm very excited about, is how technology is changing K-12 education. I've been in technology area forever, and some projects are more exciting than others. And this project as I mentioned, is much more personal in nature, because what we can do for the kids and for our future is very special. So the vision for this initiative is to reimagine ICT into better K-12 education. And the mission is how do we get there? To start with, we are in the process of forming a community of ISD ICT professionals to work together to build a classroom of the 21st century, and we'll share some of the who some of the thought leaders are shortly here. So we think we have to have a focus for this initiative, and these are the three dimensions of our focus. One is we have to be able to understand the ISD trends much better. After understand the trends, then we can apply better the technology trends. Of course, I introduced the Huawei technologies. To make this initiative successful, we'll bring other technology partners as well, so all of us can work together for you, have an end-to-end solution for for your technology issues in the coming quarters and years. Then the third element of this is the best practices. So hopefully we will share with you pretty soon some of our best practices in your region for ISDs, and our plan is certainly to bring in much broader practices at the different layers for the community to share and discuss and to discover. So this slides talk about how do we make this information available to you. We have many channels. Want to make this as easy as we can because we all know you have a busy job. And we have some online initiative. TexasISDtechnology.com is the preliminary proposal we are looking at. And we, of course, living in 2013, have to leverage the social media. As appropriate education will be an important element of that. Some of the director of technologies, so CTOs, CIOs we talk to express the needs to be re-educated on things that's beyond server storage and networking. One of the example actually is Huawei has a technology called the ELTE. We are the largest LTE supplier in the world, and we leveraged that and we adapted that into much smaller system called the Enterprise LTE, which can basically bring LTE to your community at a very affordable fashion. So a lot of the director of technologies want to be educated on these, and you start to see we offering those programs as part of the initiative. Or if you just want to learn about the mobility in general, wireless in general, cloud in general, we will put these on the list as well. And as a community, we can decide what's more important for you guys. It's not about us, and it's about you guys. Lot of director of technologies are very curious how other people how other director of technologies are looking at today's issues. Survey is the best way to find out. So on and so forth, and probably not enough time today to list them all. And the bottom line is we want to make the information very accessible to you guys. One more thing that's very important is we have already started the official project to put together ICT architecture guide for Texas ISDs, and I think that's very exciting. Just like everything else we are doing, wouldn't it be very convenient if you have one place you can go and it talks about all the architectures of all the elements you need to put together to address your next generation IT issues, and that's what this booklet will be about. We also plan to host the semi-annual ISD Technology Summit in September, and hopefully you can be there in person. I look forward to meeting every one of you and more of your colleagues, and hopefully we'll get much more feedback about this initiative at that forum. So another part of the initiative is to create an advisory board. I talked about the Jerry Allen, who is our early customer in Crowley School District. And Joe, many of you already know. And we would like to invite some of you to join the advisory board because we need to learn more to make the initiative more successful. Frank is organizing this, and hopefully after this seminar and the future seminars, he can approach you guys about joining this advisory board. Well, to summarize, to me, this is a starting point of a very exciting new journey. And I'll stay around for the Q&A. But meanwhile, I'm really appreciative to have you all here to not only listen to us and hopefully give us some feedback as well. Thank you.
So we'd love to have your help. The folks that are working on, we're primarily technologists, so we need feedback from people within the ISD so that we can tailor all of the information so that it's useful for everybody. All right. At this point, I also would like to reach out to those of you that are online. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in, and we will respond to them via email. And then we're going to have a live Q&A after the conclusion of the webinar via telepresence. At this point, I'd like to introduce Joe O'Daniel. He's the CEO of Hive, HVE, and also Dave Harmon, who's going to join Joe in the presentation a little bit later. It's all yours, Joe.
Thanks, sir. I have some cheat sheets here I got to get out. So I'm Joe Daniel. I'm the founder of Hive. I'm the CEO and president of Unified Connections. We've been around, Unified Connections has been around since 2001. And HVE Connections was really a company that was formed out of necessity. I think a lot of school districts have been in a situation where they really needed somebody to do something for them. They need somebody to step up. And that's what HVE was, is a company that was created because school districts were coming to us and say, we really would like to do some advanced technology things in the classroom, like BDI. You know, we hear about this, but we're not going to pay $1,000 a desktop, $1,200 a desktop to do it. It isn't possible for us to do that when we can buy a computer for $600. And why would you? You wouldn't. So Dave and I got together a few years ago and said, you know, what can we do? Let's run some tests. Let's see what we can do to make this happen. It's cost effective. You know, what can we do that's going to be affordable and effective at the same time? And one of our goals when we did this was, it was real simple. We needed to be able to say, you're going to have the same or better experience that you would in a BDI solution as a new computer. So if I went out and bought a $600 computer, if I do a VDI and I couldn't have that same experience, then I wouldn't want to do it either. Not only does it need to be cost effective, but I need to be able to have as good of an experience as I would with a new computer or better. And that was one of our goals. And we did that, you know, through trial and error, through tests, and through, and Eddie's shaking his head in the back because he's experienced that. We had to do a lot of different things and had to do a lot of research and development over the past couple of years, but we accomplished that. And the really cool thing about it is when you see a $1,000 per desktop solution and you put it next to a $200 solution, and the $200 per desktop solution so far exceeds the $1,000 per desktop solution that it's shocking. You know, it shocked me when we just finished all the testing that we're doing, and we're seeing this. I was like, you sure we don't have them mixed up? Are you sure this isn't backward? No, this is ours. And this is the $1,000 per. Okay, I just want to, let's look again. Let's make sure we're doing this. And it was right. Everybody we put our solutions in front of, they were shocked also. Are you sure this is right? Yeah, this is what we're doing. It was really fun to do that. And we had to do that for our customers because they were being put in situations that they couldn't get out of. That's a little bit about HPE. I could go into it just forever. And Chris is going to probably be doing this to me here in a little while, so I'm going to try to keep going on. One of the things we're going to be talking about today is shared cloud. Shared ISV clouds is pretty interesting to us because we've been working with DCS. I think a lot of you know Letha already, Dallas County Schools. They also go under the name TechServe. They offer services to any ISD in the state of Texas. A lot of districts actually use them for internet access, but they do quite a few other things, including VMware. I don't know what I'm not supposed to say, but I think I can say that. VMware licensing, she actually offers that as an enterprise solution to districts at a very affordable rate. So we teamed up with them to help them with that, first of all, because we're pretty good with VDI solutions and virtual solutions in general, but especially with VMware. And Dave can tell you, some of our guys, the VCP or all those acronyms after their name. We work with Letha to provide solutions to districts. She has ILAs that can be done, interlocal agreements between districts. She went out, I think, 2 years ago and had a bid for virtual solutions, and we worked with her to do that, and it's been very successful. It's been fun. I just love doing my job because we get to help people, and we get to help people cost effectively, and you get to see the lights come on. No different than being a teacher in the classroom, and you spend all that time working with kids, and after working with them, the lights start coming on, and you really get to feel good about what you've done for those kids. It's the same thing. You get to feel good about helping kids in this job. You get to say, hey, I made a big difference. I provided a cost-effective solution that's helping them with their technology in the classroom. And I'll tell you a few stories here and there. One of the classrooms that we went into when we first started doing this, the kids would take 15 minutes to log onto a computer to start doing something in their classroom. And they would literally sit there at the computer. They would start to log on. They would go through, open the web, and it may take a few minutes to do that. Then they would try to authenticate to that web portal. Then they would have to do whatever Flash would have to load, or Java would have to do something. And after we started putting our solutions in place and repurposed these PCs, it was nearly instantaneous results. They went from taking 15 minutes of a 45-minute class to get something going to, okay, I sit down, I hit go, I'm ready to go. You've just saved 15 minutes of prep work for each of those kids at the beginning of a class that now they can actually use for teaching. In addition to that, if something went wrong, if that computer had some kind of issue in the middle of class, you either had to shift them around and start that all over again or restart this computer. So it's satisfying to be able to do that kind of work in a classroom. And along those same lines, TechServe and DCS, we've been working with them to help schools figure out what we can do to have a shared cloud for school districts. And that's where we're going with TechServe, is how can we provide districts opportunities to not have to purchase hardware every 3, 4, 5, 6 years to support our NOCs. Everybody's been put in situations where they have capital investments that they have to use the large amounts of money, and it's different depending on the size of your school district, but you're having to spend fairly large amounts of dollars to purchase your storage device, to purchase your servers, to purchase all the different things. The net